So I want to talk to you about digital transformation and the first principles of transformation. What is the purpose of transformation? And we'll bring digital in a minute. What is the objective? And I want to give you this tool so you can apply that to the situation that you want to transform. The first principle of digital transformation and transformation in general is to minimize the friction in any type of exchange. It could be exchange of your well-being on Facebook with your loved ones. It could be exchange of facts, such as information on an encyclopedia or a newspaper. Or it could be an exchange in the commercial sense, where you're conducting a transaction. So the idea is to minimize the friction, the delay, the inconvenience in any kind of exchange. That really is the first principle of transformation. The second principle is, how do we look at activities that people engage in conducting this exchange? Can we think about adding activities, removing activities, changing activities? And the third principle is, after we rearrange these activities, can we weave them into a process that we can then codify, that a consumer, a recipient, a partner can then use that as a process and to be able to conduct that exchange that we were just talking about. So let's look at an example. Several years ago, my family and I were in Queenstown, New Zealand, which is in the South Island of New Zealand. For a day of skiing, we came back to our hotel, didn't want to go out to eat. We saw a brochure that said, you can get the food delivered. All you have to do is pay for a one-way taxi. We called, food arrived, and I talked to the taxi driver. And I said, how does this work? He says, well, when you order food, the food is ready. Somebody steps out to the curb, hail the taxi. I pay them the total amount. I bring the food, I collect it from you, plus the taxi fare. That surprised me, because that probably won't work in New York City. So what they did was eliminated some of the activities that I would have to engage in getting the food. Either I had to take my family out, or I had to go pick it up. And that was the transformation of the process by rearranging some of the activities. 7 years after that, in 2014, Uber came up with Uber Eats. Same idea. So it works the same way. But what they did was, by inserting digital in it, they addressed the trust aspect, because the driver had to trust the restaurant owner that they will get paid from their customer. Because it doesn't work everywhere, we have to find a way around it. So in a previous conversation, I talked about people, process, and technology. So the first issue here in this process was to eliminate the friction that a customer needs to go through to get food. And that involved trust. The second was reorganizing the process by rearranging the activities where I didn't have to go pick up the food. And the third was the technological aspect. Well, in that case, there was very little technology. I called on the phone, but Uber Eats is an example of transforming that process with digital means, and hence digital transformation. So I want you to think about any such situation that's around you that you look at and say, how can I eliminate the friction between this piece of information that I want to share and the consumer's ability to access that information, and in such a way that we both are better off in the end, and that is transformation. Anytime you bring digital into it to leapfrog some of those activities, that's digital transformation.